going on, everybody? Hello again and welcome back to another episode of the Welch Report with me, John-Luke Welch. Make some noise and clap it up. Get excited wherever you are. We got a bunch of stuff to cover in a short amount of time. We got a jam-packed episode for you today covering the world of the NBA with the play-in tournament and boxing as well with Devin Haney and Garcia getting ready to fight each other. There is something I didn't get to talk about with Devin Haney that makes this fight so incredibly important for him and his money-making future regardless of the result. And we got that as well as so much more to discuss today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. And again, leave a like on the video, comment your thoughts and opinions, subscribe to the channel, and share the show with everybody that you know. And word is getting around because, ladies and gentlemen, we have a small village because we have officially crossed the 1,000 mark subscriber milestone. Yes, we did it. Thank you so much for all the support, all the love, all of the shares. That video with Sabril Matias took us over the top. Thank goodness people started getting privy to this man and the killer that he is. And hey, getting privy to who I am. That's right. We are making moves in this media airspace. And I can't thank you so much for all your support. Please keep on sharing, keep on watching, keep on liking the videos. It helps out the algorithm in pushing this channel and pushing these shows out to everybody. And please keep on telling people about the show so we can make this the hottest show in all the globe. And I can't do it without your help, and y'all have been so impactful already. Thank you so much. We got a bunch of stuff planned now that we're at the subscriber milestone, but now we're hitting 2,000, then 10,000, 100,000. We are moving up quickly. My goodness, in less than a year, I'm so happy with the progress that we made. It's all thanks to you. So again, thank you so much for all of your support, because we made it possible. We made it possible. My goodness. But again, all the celebration aside, we got to get back to what we care about and what we need to discuss, which is sports, and specifically the NBA play-in tournament and the results of last night, as well as what potential shakeup will happen with some teams in the future. And with all that being said, let's jump right into the world of basketball, and we have to discuss Golden State losing to the Sacramento Kings. That's right, the second game of the night, but arguably the most impactful game of this whole play-in tournament, because now we have seen the hopes and dreams of the Warriors crash and burn. No longer are they in any sort of playoff contention because they have been bounced out of all the playoffs, all the opportunity to get another championship by the Sacramento Kings, and they got their revenge. My goodness, they did it. The Kings got their revenge for their 7-game thriller that they had. I believe it was 7 games, 6 or 7 game thriller that they had with Golden State last year. This was their payback, and they absolutely washed Golden State, washed Steph Curry, and just outright dominant points. Keegan Murray had 32, 10 of 20 from shooting from the field. I believe 6 of 10 shooting from 3. It was just insane. De'Aaron Fox did what De'Aaron Fox always does. And the entirety of that Kings squad just performed phenomenally. Domantas Sabonis dominated. Every single core piece on that squad came to play. And unlike with the Warriors, everybody felt fluid and everybody was impactful. And that's the biggest thing about this whole, segment for this specific show. It's not even that the Kings won, though it is great. And though it is, hey, they finally got over the hump of, okay, we're here and we have arrived. Hopefully this will show them as a solidified potential star team. Not just a team that, while exciting and while, my goodness, they overachieved with a lot of people with how they took the Warriors to the brink last year. This year, hopefully, when they get to the first round, they will actually be able to get out of it. And if so, hey, I'm happy for it because that organization is great. The Kings fans are phenomenal. And everything that the Kings have in their organization working forward looks incredible. Now, again, I'm a little fuzzy on whether or not Malik Monk will be back for the first round. So maybe that could change. And maybe this all could just be smoke in the wind, because if Malik Monk ain't back, it's hard for me to say that without him and De'Aaron Fox together. And just De'Aaron Fox, though he is a dog carrying the show, I don't know if we'll be able to see that being enough to be able to get over that. Well, actually, excuse me. Let me rephrase it. With Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox on the squad, though that duo is utterly incredible, and Sabonis having one of the best years of his career. Without Malik Monk, still is going to be a tall task in that Western Conference to be able to go through and get to a second round appearance if we're the Sacramento Kings, just because of how stacked the whole Western Conference is. Anybody that you face off can indeed beat you in this conference, which is insane. They would have been a lock in the playoffs last season with this same record. So this is indeed a very competitive West. And since that's the case, without Malik Monk, again, because I'm fuzzy on when he's coming back, it might be difficult for me to say that they, even with this great accomplishment, that they will still be able to get out the first round. It's very difficult for me. But with all that being said, regardless of their win, while it's impressive, we know the moves that they've made. Sticking with the Golden State Warriors, which is the main topic of this point in the show, where do they go now? And we may have just seen that very answer. And that very answer is they may just go and blow up. That's what it is, because I don't see this team having any other route. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the city of Golden State is in not the city, excuse me, the team of Golden State is in utter turmoil. Because they... Hey, we got some problems here. We got some problems here. They have some major problems going on, because now, more than ever, the cries for this dynasty to end not only have been heard, but have now been answered. Because there is no longer a dynasty. We speculated. We said it looks like it's coming to an end. This was the nail in the coffin. The Golden State Warriors dynasty, the one that went 73-9, the one that's won 4 championships in 5 years, the one that has been one of the most winningest organizations of any generation, who turned Steve Kerr into one of the winningest coaches in NBA history, who has cultivated and revolutionized the very offensive mindset that every team takes today, single-handedly helped fizzle out an entire play style and player ability, a player skill set in the terms of the inside center strictly. Almost fizzled them out entirely, with them being so abundantly good at being able to shoot the three. Single-handedly, they changed the game. Single-handedly, Steph changed the game. But now, that's done. Not only has the NBA caught up, but you all have fell behind. If you're the Golden State Warriors, you have nothing to stand on anymore. And most of the NBA is, and if we're being perfectly honest, singing their praises that you're finally done. A lot of people were sick of seeing this team constantly dominate. And people were sick of this team just always being there, always just lapping all other teams. Some people are celebrating that this is finally over. But the point is, it's over. It's done. The Warriors no longer a quality squad. That dynasty is done. And they have one of two options to fix this whole thing. Or rather, one or two directions they can go with this whole crumbling of an empire. One, they can go and they can keep all their people. Keep Steph, keep Clay, keep Draymond. Don't improve. Stay loyal to the people that got you where you are, to the people that turned you into an iconic organization for this modern generation of basketball. Keep them. Rock with them. Pay them. Sure. Let them ride out the rest of their careers together, like we would love to see. Or do what's best for business, to quote Triple H, for my wrestling fans out there. Do what's best for business and let one or both of them go. And who's on the hot seat definitively is Klay Thompson. Because at this point in time, we have never seen a bigger sign to say it's time to end it and it's time to change than with what we saw with Klay Thompson in this game. This man went 0 for 10 from the field. I believe 0 for 6 from 3. I repeat, 0 for 10 from the field for the entirety of the night. Not for a half, not for a quarter, for the whole game. Did not score one bucket. Draymond Green had 12 points. Klay Thompson had 0. They, on shooting, had 0. Missed layups. Couldn't hit anything. This is the biggest sign. You have to get him out there. You have to relinquish him. He's already looking for a bigger contract. Not bigger. He's already looking for a contract extension, potentially a max contract. We know good and well he ain't going to get that. Good and well with the way he's been playing, he's not going to get that. It'd be hard-pressed for me to give him a 1-year deal. Though we know what Klay Thompson is. It's not because of, he's He's not. It's not because we're trying to be disrespectful. When we talk about this in terms of with Klay Thompson, we don't want to just sit here and say, "Oh, he doesn't deserve the money." Nah, he's looking. He's so bad. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but what you have to understand, if you're the Warriors organization or any organization for that matter, we are looking at Klay Thompson every year, outside of their championship season when everybody got back healthy, after the debacle that was the injury-riddled season, when it was just Draymond Green literally on the court alone leading the squad. This organization with Klay Thompson cannot go anywhere because there is no upside to Klay. We have seen him every year diminish more and more and more, and consistently for him being a three-point marksman. One of the greatest, the third greatest shooter that we've ever seen. You can argue the second greatest shooter that we've ever seen. I got him third behind Ray Allen just because it's Ray Allen. But you can argue the greatest catch and shoot shooter that we've seen in NBA history. But that's just a pure shooter. Second or third greatest in the history of the sport. He has lost the touch this entire season. Not to mention, over the past couple years, he has not been in any way, shape, or form, close to the quality of talent or even close to the resemblance of Klay Thompson that we know him to be. It's not even serviceable at this point. This is a man who's shooting 37%, 36% about on the season at the time of the play-in, but the numbers lied. The percentages lied as to what those actual shots look like. The percentages and statistics in this case scenario don't tell the whole story. He has been so sporadic. He has been so inconsistent. Klay Thompson has been so outrageously bad from his ability to shoot. This year, you almost laugh because you can't believe it. I can't believe it. Nobody can believe this level of inadequacy for somebody who's been for his entire career so consistently dominant at his one biggest trait, shooting. And yet this season, he wasn't able to do anything. And in an elimination game, he goes 0 for 10. 0 points on the entire night. That is inexcusable. As somebody who is supposed to be the second option for a team. Especially when you are, again, slowly but surely, we keep seeing the numbers shock more and more as we consistently laud, or rather, stare in awe at just the inadequacy of you as a shooter when that's your only thing. It's a resulting diminishing returns if you're the Golden State Warriors. Because now Klay used to be a 3-and-D guy. One of the best perimeter defenders in the entire league, as well as the second best shooter in the entire league in his heyday. Now, he's supposed to be just a 3-point marksman, and he's not even that anymore. So he shot them out of this game. Genuinely. They pulled the starters in terms of Golden State. They pulled the starters 2 minutes before the end. Didn't even attempt to come back. This was done. There was no point. 94-118, it felt like 80-120. It was so incredibly inefficient, ineffective, and just outright bad. Klay Thompson has become a non-factor, a not viable asset for this Golden State Warriors squad. This can't stay. He's got to go. He has to. It's inexcusable. In an elimination game, you go and put up nothing. Playing 30 minutes, you put up nothing. If there was any sign to say we need to get him out of here now, this is the sign. Because you have to understand what team is going to take him. If you keep on waiting, what team is actually going to take him? Now that we see this is the Klay Thompson that we now have definitively. This isn't the star that was a multi-time All-Star and one of the biggest assets to this Warriors dynasty, who if he went, hey, people are saying, Stephen A, for example, if he went to LA, my goodness, he would be a great asset. If he went to LA a couple years ago, okay, fine. Now you're looking at a deadly duo. if LeBron was able to have somebody like Clay as a consistent shooter in the past. Yes, but now, no. No, I can't trust him. I can't, which is crazy to say. I can't trust Clay because it's been almost 3 seasons that this consistent level of continuing diminishing returns has come about. And it's not Clay's fault. We understand he puts in work in the gym. We understand he works on his game. But injuries have taken a toll on his brother. The knee injuries, the ACL, all of that has affected him over time. It's causing him to play worse and worse and worse. Took away his ability to defend at nearly the elite level that he used to be. Took his way to defend at the same elite level that he used to in his prime after he got injured. But he still had to shoot. Still had that game. Still had the stroke on him. Was able to still splash from 3 whenever he wanted. Now, however, we see that injury looks like it's taking out more and more from Klay Thompson every single time he gets on the floor. So because of that, and because of the continuing diminished shooting ability that we're seeing from Klay, when you're on the ultimate opportunist in terms of Steph Curry, you're on the same team as him, yet now when he's opening up open shots for you, you're not hitting them when you should be deadly. No, it's not okay. We have to call it like we see it. And we have to say, Klay Thompson, they got to go. They got to get him out of there. They got to destroy this whole dynasty if they want any semblance at being competitive in the coming years. They have to. Because Steph has been playing great this whole season. Had 22, I believe, this game? 8 of 16 from 3. He did what he could when he was the only real man that could score. Andrew Wiggins went 4 for 11. Kuminga went 6 for 15. But outside of that, nobody else made more than 8 shots this game, which is ridiculous. But it's the truth. There's nothing good about Klay Thompson on this Golden State Warriors squad. And if Golden State wants any opportunity to still be competitive in some form or aspect, forget loyalty. Forget ride or die. You've got to make a move and get him out of there. You have to. Because for the sake of your organization and for the sake of not wasting what's left of Steph's prime, you have to make a move. And this team can't be the same team come next year. Something's got to change. And that something should be Klay Thompson. That something should be Klay Thompson not being in a Golden State Warriors jersey. And where he goes, I don't know. Because the amount of buzz for him isn't nearly what it used to be due to these injuries, due to his lack of production. Some people are saying, he won't be in the league no more. Now, let's pump the brakes there. I'm not saying all that. All I know is that the value of Klay Thompson has significantly shrunk for what he can bring to the table versus what he might ask for and or demand to be on the team. All of it could spell a disastrous whirlwind, not just for the headache of the Golden State Warriors, but for Klay Thompson himself to find a squad. Are we going to see him have the same thing happen to him as we saw happen to Melo? When Melo, before he accepted fully his role of being a role player when he went to different squads, still demanding to be a starter, got almost blackballed from the league due to it. Then once he accepted his role as a role player, had his tenure in the NBA last a little longer. Could that be what we see from Klay Thompson? I don't know. I'm not here to answer that. All I can say definitively is that we need to see Klay Thompson gone from Golden State. And if we don't see Golden State tear this whole thing down, strip it apart with everybody except for Steph, there's no point in looking forward to next season for this team at all. Because there's no point in looking forward to a season for this team. because it's not going to be anything, forget spectacular. It's not going to be worth watching, because the continued mediocrity of this squad will be prevalent if they stay with Klay Thompson on this team. They have to move him. They got to get him out of here as quickly as possible, because he himself is one of the key factors as to why we're seeing this organization continue to fail more and more and more. It's on them to not prioritize loyalty. If you want to see them win, not prioritize loyalty over the necessary business that needs to be done. You have to. You have to. This isn't like Tim Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili. While yes, Parker got traded, for the most part, they were able to stay together because they kept on winning. And they kept on showing their value was worth keeping when they played with each other. It's not the case with this team. It's fizzling out. And changes got to be made. Seemingly, Klay Thompson knows it, as before he left the court, he almost looked back at the arena inside before going back to the locker room, almost knowing that his time with Golden State is most likely done, most likely over. So this could be that he already sees the writing on the wall. And maybe so. And if that's the case, we don't want to see, giants fall, which some people do. But we don't want to see, a sad ending to a great story. But that's what's going to have to happen if we want to see the next evolution of this team. And where Steph will lead his squad and how far he can go is contingent on this move. Whether or not Golden State chooses to prioritize Steph over loyalty and make the necessary cut in or trade of Klay Thompson and potentially even great Draymond Green. Potentially. Yes, we know the value that he brings, but at this point in time, if it's just Steph and Dre with no other alternative third person, even with Kuminga coming up on his development, that's not going to be enough unless he just explodes into a dominant star player. That's not going to be enough. It won't be enough at all. It has to be a legitimate situation where Klay's got to be moved at minimum, and potentially Draymond as well. But officially, we had to see this dynasty is completely done. But that wasn't the only game that we had last night, as we also had Lakers versus Pelicans for the 7th seed. Who will face the juggernaut in the Denver Nuggets? And we now have that answer, and it will be a rematch against Lakers versus Nuggets, rematch of the Western Conference Finals last season. This is going to be spectacular, but the story of that game isn't the rematch that's forthcoming, but the matchup that was actually happening on the night. LeBron versus Zion, and Zion, even in a loss, took over. The best game that we've ever seen Zion play in his entire career. This brother put up 40, 11 and 5, 17 to 27 from the field. 63%. If I got my math correct, it was insane. This man it was everything we have been saying Zion could do when he got into the league. Now it's fully functional. It was great. You can argue that the only reason why this team lost in terms of the Pelicans was because Zion got hurt late in the game. When they had an incredible run. An incredible run. They were down by like 20. They brought it to within 3 at one point. It was ridiculous. This was one of the greatest games that we've ever seen Zion play. And he was the only reason why they were even relevant in this game. Because without him, their offense was nothing. Brandon Ingram played horrible shooting. CJ McCollum, horrible shooting. Valanciunas, 1 for 7. Larry Nance, the best player, scoring-wise, was Trey Murphy III, who was 5 for 10, and hit some clutch threes down the stretch from way back, all the way from Bourbon Street, essentially. It was insane. But without Zion, the majority of that team looked lost. They look locked up, and that's a testament to what we see the Lakers turn into, rather, as the season has progressed, with them gelling together, coming together, being more and more able, or essentially being more chemistry driven, being locked in on all fronts, having the ability to now not just seem lost on the floor. Now, granted, it's more so because of LeBron than it is Darvin Ham. I'll tell you that right now, because we see the lineups, not just the lineups making sense, but communication is better. Everything on the Lakers looks like it's now coming to fruition. And trust me, it's because of LeBron and because of Darvin Ham. And LeBron's ability to lead and communicate that squad. It's hard for me to give Darvin Ham any real credit, because this brother sees everything too late. And by the time he does see it, he still somehow finds a way to mess things up. It's been a miracle that we saw the Lakers do what they did down the latter stretch of the season and turn into the team that they are right now. And it's a testament to the real threat that they can be to any team in the Western Conference. It truly is. But again, the biggest thing about this game was Zion going off of the Lakers' diatribe. Zion Williamson proved everybody wrong. Zion proved exactly what he could be. We had gotten on him, I had gotten on him, about his weight, about his health, about his ability to potentially be a bust if he doesn't shape up. And he took everything to heart after the play-in tournament. Had one of the best years in his career. Was a definitive leader. Was consistently getting better and better as every game went on. Looked like a more effective scorer. Looked like a more impactful player. Literally played himself into shape, like we saw Shaq do during his career when he played with Kobe early on. This was exactly what we expected from somebody who was supposed to be a superstar, but something we never thought would actually happen from somebody like a Zion Williamson, due to all of our concerns, not to mention all the outside drama that we all know has been fueling and swirling around the internet. We understand exactly what all the mess that's been going on with Zion and everything, and how detrimental it can and has been. But now we're seeing the semblances of what can be still a fantastic career, a game-changing career on a night-to-night basis. This right here, this outright explosion and unstoppable force is something that we can hopefully expect to see on a nightly basis in next season. If he can keep not only healthy, but keep his discipline about him. A lot of people wrote Zion off. Let's be perfectly honest. They wrote him off. They didn't give him the credit he deserved. They only harped on the negatives, which were valid, about what was going on with Zion, not the positives as to when they were actually happening. Now it's undeniable. Zion gave us and gave everybody a clinic in domination that we thought he wouldn't be able to do. And now he showed that if we still see this man keep his wits about him, stay healthy, stay disciplined, work on his craft even more. Remember, we saw halfway through the season, or rather towards the end of the season, this man had a mid-range jumper, a mid-range pull-up at that. This boy was going off the dribble and pulling up from the field throw line. If he added that to it, if he gets that refined in his game, with how explosive he can be going downhill, if he can get better at stopping on a dime and pulling up and just being able to shoot between 15 and 18 feet, my gosh, that changes everything about what we can see with Zion Williamson. He was doing that in this game with Los Angeles. And it wasn't a bad looking jumper at that. We are seeing the wheels starting to turn when we thought they had rusted over. This is great for what we're seeing from Zion Williamson. This is what we want from a player that can be so game-changing and one of the next faces of the entire NBA. This is what we expect to see from somebody as great as you. And when you don't achieve it, people get antsy. Understandably so. We don't want to see a wasted talent, not because of injury, but because of lack of discipline. We don't want to see that. Now, hey, you gave us something to hang our hat on. It's not over. He can still make the playoffs. He's got to beat the Kings on Friday. Although he's going to be out on Friday due to him having a calf injury, which some people may not have known and may not have gotten the report yet. Breaking news, if you haven't heard, Zion Williamson is going to be out from the Kings series, or rather the Kings game, on Friday in the final game of the play-in tournament. Their last chance to get an 8th seed. They're going to be essentially without their biggest star, having to rely on Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, Trey Murphy in this situation if he comes and plays like that again. But no Zion. So if they play and win, hey, okay, great. We can potentially see Zion come back in the first round and be successful. How severe the injury is, I'm not really sure. I just know that he's out, ruled out, as reported right now. But if this is in fact the last time we see Zion play for the rest of the year, he ended on a high note, which capped off a great second half of the season that gave us a lot of hope and promise as to what he can be. Because if we see Zion Williamson get his weight in control, stay healthy, stay focused, stay within the confines of basketball, and really dedicate himself as he continues to evolve and elevate his game, performances like that won't be a shock surprise, or rather a pleasant explosion of athletic ability. It's going to be a night-to-night thing and a nightmare to anybody that plays against him. He could be one of the biggest game changers in the NBA. He really could. We know the impact that Victor Wembanyama has on a night-to-night basis. Should be Rookie of the Year, for being perfectly honest, averaging 3.6 blocks, 20 points a game, and 12 rebounds. Insane numbers. But as big of an impact as we've seen Wemby have, Zion can have a similar one. Maybe not as diverse with how much Wemby is able to touch all facets of the floor. But in terms of one man changing the entire makeup of what a team can do, that can be Zion. Yes, indeed it can. But it's up to him. But as of right now, more than anything, we have hope. Which is something that we didn't have for a while coming into the season when it came to Zion Williamson. But now moving on to the winner of that game, Los Angeles Lakers. This is where the lines get drawn in the sand. Because now you are facing the Denver Nuggets, the same team that swept you in your miracle run to the Western Conference Finals last year. And you have an opportunity at redemption. And or an opportunity to fall flat on your face again. What will happen? What can you do? Do you even have a shot? And let me be perfectly clear. Denver is the better team. Denver's got the best player in the world in Nikola Jokic. And Denver in the playoffs with Jamal Murray and Jokic together turn into one of the most lethal offensive forces that the NBA has seen. Explosions left, right, and center. Jokic can go for a casual 30, 10, and 9. And Jamal Murray can end the game with 30 points after having only 10 for 3 quarters. The epitome of a microwave, if I've ever heard of one. We are looking at a team that is matched up to beat anybody in the NBA. Has size, has length, has speed, has strength, has shooting, has defense, has rebounding, has everything. But ironically enough, the Lakers are the best team to match up against them outside of the Celtics over in the East. Lakers have what they need to be able to at least compete. As we saw last series, when, again, with a worse roster, mind you, they were able to take this team, even in the sweep, consistently to single-digit wins. Come back every single game, though they failed. It was every game they seemed to just stay and hang in there. Wasn't until Jokic hit some incredibly stupid shot. Soundboard shuffle, catapulting the ball from behind his head, smothered with 2 seconds left on the shot clock. Wet like water, in the words of Cash Nasty. For again, people that watch 2K. It's just insane. Stuff like that. Will we see a repeat? Most likely, yes. Because we've seen this man do that all season long. But this could be the time that we finally see this team get over. Because now you got at least more than healthy LeBron than we had in that series with the foot problems. And Anthony Davis this year has stepped up his defensive ability to become a legitimate defensive player of the year candidate. And the durability is not a problem anymore from Anthony Davis. You can say what you want about him. One of the biggest assets that we saw that he lacked was durability and availability. Now, look at where he's at. 76 games played on the season with averaging 24, 12, and almost 3 blocks a game. I believe, 2.6? While still being a down low defensive and offensive force. This is exactly what we wanted from Anthony Davis. This is great for him. We have no complaints. AD showed up this season. LeBron showed up this season. And that team in the latter half of the stretch, when Devin Haney got smart instead of being stupid and got a rotation that actually fits what they do best. Look at him now. They look so much better. A breath of fresh air, of freedom, of ease, and breathability when they play. It seems like that they have now. Because they feel motivated and they feel free, thankfully. But still, when it comes down to beating the Nuggets, can they do it? And the answer, even now, I don't think so. I really don't think so. And it's not because, they're not better than last year. They are. It's not because they haven't come into their own. They are. They have. But it's due to, again, Nikola Jokic being Nikola Jokic. Absolutely. His production speaks for itself as to why I don't think they'll be able to win. But it's also assets versus assets. That's where this is really going to come down to. We know LeBron and AD can play up to and even on nights outplay Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. We know that. But it's the surrounding pieces that have the ability to change the course of the game. And it's the surrounding pieces of the Nuggets that have consistently played better and at a high level and always played their part perfectly. When it comes to the Lakers, even now, people like Gabe Vincent, who were impact players with the Miami Heat last year, now shooting 10% from 3 this year. In the playoffs, maybe that'll change. Maybe so. Maybe he just turns it on like Jimmy Butler. But that going up against people like Reggie Jackson, people like Christian Braun, people like, again, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon. List goes on and on of legitimate talent they have top to bottom that has shown they can play on their own. As much as I love Reeves, much as I love Rui Hachimura, when you got people like Taurean Prince and Gabe Vincent who can both shoot you out of a game, as opposed to with the Denver Nuggets, you don't really have that problem with anybody going cold and or being a detriment to you offensively, nor defensively, we're being perfectly honest. That's where the line really gets drawn. I don't know exactly how to be able to stop the overwhelming consistency. It's not even the offense, it's the consistency that the Denver Nuggets have with their role players that makes them so incredible. Jokic being able to find everybody is what unlocks the ability for them to be so lethal. But it's on the players to make the shot. And Denver consistently makes the shots. It sounds simple, but when you think about it, many teams don't have that. Many teams can't do that. There's a lot of teams who have great facilitators who still can't have a very potent and free-flowing offense. Due to their role players can't make the shots when they get them. Waste opportunities, mess up opportunities when it's gift wrapped to them. That's what Denver does not do. Since that's what they don't do, that consistency is what's kept them so dominant with the entirety of the NBA. Such a lethal, imposing force, a fear-mongering force for everybody in the NBA, East or West, there's only one team right now anybody can definitively say can beat this squad, and that's the Boston Celtics. It's not any other squad. Even with somebody like Los Angeles, who on paper looks like they're built to beat them personnel-wise. When you watch the game, it's night and day. That is what Denver has made themselves into. One team can even compete with this squad. And that team is out in the East. Who they meet in the finals. There's no way that anybody else can come to that level of personnel and consistency outside of the team that has the best record in the entirety of the league. That's just fact. Could we see an upset? Maybe so. Maybe. Not ruling out LeBron and AD, especially a healthy LeBron and AD. Not ruling that out at all. It is not them I'm worried about. They'll probably get 30. Absolutely. Individually. They'll get 30 every game. It is the other players, specifically people like Gabe Vincent, who will get minutes due to his defense. And Taurean Prince, who somehow keeps getting minutes as a starter when he should not be getting minutes as a starter at all. Who can single-handedly take out any momentum that you have. If they are cold, more often than not they are. It's again, we're splitting hairs, but at this stage, with what both teams have shown, specifically what Los Angeles has shown in the latter half of the year, I don't think they'll be able to do it. Because while they'll be able to match the play of Jokic and Jamal, that's not the concern. The concern is the supporting cast doing their job. That's where Denver kills everybody. And that's where the Lakers may not be able to compete with. Because nobody on Denver has any problem adapting, changing, and or getting back in rhythm. Nobody shoots Denver out of a game. Nobody. Lakers have that problem. That's where the problem really lies. And if they can match, if the personnel can match personnel in terms of role players, match the production of other role players, we got a series. We got a series that can go to 7 with potentially Lakers winning it. But if anybody's off even an iota, Lakers are done. I'm not going to say they're going to get swept. No. It's hard for me to say they'll be able to win. Even with somebody like a healthy LeBron, who's been shooting 40% from 3. Or a healthy AD, who's been averaging 25 and again, 3 blocks a game. One of the biggest defensive menaces and interior forces that the league has right now. Great. Even with them. That personnel around them. The few people that can mess up will mess up. And I hope I'm wrong. But the few people that can mess up will mess up. And people like Gabe Vincent. And people like Taurean Prince. Even people like Jackson Hayes, who is a spark plug for that squad. As great as he can be, he can also make some dumb mistakes. There's going to be a fine-tooth comb in terms of sorting out those problems and potential detriments. Get that right now, because if you don't get it right from game 1, hard pressed for me to say you'll be able to win that series if you are Los Angeles. It really is. But now moving on from the world of the NBA into the world of boxing, talking about Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia in the last segment of this show with that fight happening this Saturday. And since we're talking about boxing, it is time to step into the ring. That's right. Ring the bell. Let's get it started. Round 1 of this show underway as we have to discuss the biggest thing about this fight with Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, specifically for Devin Haney. There are major career implications for the result of this fight on the side of Devin Haney, even more so on the side of Ryan Garcia. And I say that because of only one thing, and that is career trajectory. That one topic, or rather that one implication, is so prevalent on the side of Devin Haney, more so than even on the side of Ryan Garcia. Though Ryan Garcia has an opportunity to become a champion, it's still significantly more important on the side of Devin Haney. And here's why I say that. When you look at Ryan Garcia, established star, known name, a known cash cow for the entirety of the boxing landscape. We know the numbers that he's brought to the table. You can say what you want about his boxing ability. I know I have, and rightfully so. But the point still stands as a draw and as somebody who is a known box office market and a big name. He's up there. Absolutely. Him winning a championship against Devin Haney, of all people, shoots him up even higher. Absolutely. It would be incredible. An incredible upset. Shock the world. Prove everybody else wrong. Prove me wrong. That would be insane. No doubt about it. But that's on Ryan Garcia's side. On Devin Haney's side, if he wins, it still could be bad for him. It still could be bad for him. If Devin Haney wins this fight, it could still be bad for him in his career trajectory. Reason being, like I talked about with Ryan Garcia, if he won, insane for his ability. But if he lost, it would still be, okay, he's still Ryan Garcia. People will still pay to see him fight. Devin Haney has been working to get his name out there to the masses. Though he's been more accomplished, though he's been closer to the pound for pound list than Ryan Garcia has ever been, arguably on many people's pound, was on my pound for pound list when he was undisputed, has been somebody who has been a champion, who has been one of the best boxers in the entire world, has had a great resume, has done everything you need to do as a boxer to show yourself true, to prove yourself. But his name's nowhere near the level of Ryan Garcia. It's because the style that he boxes is seen as not exciting, boring. Not lackadaisical is the wrong word, but it's not appealing to the eye. Was a clincher, somebody who clinches up often, pot-shotting fighter, defensively minded fighter. He's slick. He's got all the skills, don't get me wrong. But for the casual aesthetic eye, it's not something that everybody wants to watch. It just isn't. Hence why, pillow-fisted. Brother can't punch. Brother can't crack. Brother doesn't have any power to him. He doesn't got no pop to him. He's not exciting to watch. Who wants to pay to see that brother fight? That's what the stigma on Devin Haney is. It's wrong, but that's what the stigma is. That's what he's got, and that's what he's trying to fight out of. And he's done that while winning. He's had all this put on him as he's winning, as he's won titles, as he outboxed Kambosos, as he beat Loma and had an exciting fight with Vasily Lomachenko to people still call him boring. This is where he needs to make a statement. Even more so than Ryan Garcia. Yes, we know Ryan Garcia wants to be a champion. He needs to be a champion to prove himself as, okay, yeah, I'm deserving of that big star status. At minimum, put up a good fight. But with Devin Haney, he can win. And I got him winning. You can go watch the breakdown. Again, shameless plug. Got on the channel right here. But when you go and see him fight, if he wins and is boring, again, doesn't boost him nearly to what you want it to. Doesn't get him out there. Still doesn't elevate his game the way you would like it to. He's got to win in a dominant, emphatic fashion. And or have an incredibly entertaining and competitive fight against Ryan Garcia. And win. Because if he does not do this fight in something that is appealing to the casual eye, it could actually make him seem like all the stigmas are true. Though he is the better boxer, though he is the better fighter, due to him being seen as boring, stigmatized somebody not entertaining to watch, unless you prove them wrong, it could actually hurt you by saying, see, nobody wants to see this brother do anything, run around the ring, not engage. Stupid stuff that people have said about him and other slick boxers for years, but the point still stands. That's what he's fighting against, even in a win. Even against somebody as big of a name as Ryan Garcia. He could win that fight and do it in such a boring fashion in the casual eye that it is seen as, I'm not paying to watch this brother fight. And this is the biggest audience he is ever going to have up until this point in his career. Not the biggest he will ever have, but the biggest he's had to this point. Nobody's a bigger name than Ryan Garcia. Lomachenko's the best boxer he's boxed. But the name value, people that bring eyes to the sport, it's Ryan Garcia. This is your opportunity if you're Devin Haney to do what you did versus Regis Prograis, but do it in even more dominating fashion. I dare say you need to knock out Ryan Garcia for the sake of the betterment of your career. Not just win. You can't just win. If you just win, it will hurt you potentially. You have to demolish him and or be willing to go to war to beat this brother. Forget slickness and just go and fight. Potentially, that's what you might have to do. Not saying that's what you should. Again, I've broken down the fight. You can go watch it on the channel. But this fight has to be something with the biggest amount of eyes at your disposal. You've got to make, if you're Devin Haney, a huge statement, a huge, memorable performance. Something that leaves people talking. Because this is your biggest opportunity, not just to show yourself, but to shake off the stigma that you're a fighter that's not worth watching. Because you are. But a lot of casual fans don't appreciate the sweet science at the level of, again, defensive soundness and always being safe. Noya anyway does the exact same thing at an incredibly higher level, but still does the exact same thing. But the thing that separates him is the fact that he will also go and rock everybody that he comes in contact with. He knocks everybody out while still being as defensively and offensively fundamentally sound as any boxer I've seen. But that's Noya anyway. It's not Devin Haney. I get it. But that doesn't mean that he can't still turn this into something that while he still shows boxing ability, he goes in for the kill. He gets more aggressive. He looks to get Garcia out of there. He's got to do something to get the people talking so that he can carry this momentum, if he does win, carry this momentum into even more mega fights and not have to sacrifice money to make the fight. Mind you, the purse bid or the amount of money for this fight, how it's being split is 55-45. But it's 55% of the money is going to Ryan Garcia, the challenger. 45% is going to Devin Haney, the champion. Now, granted, we love to see that we got people just wanting to make the fight happen. Great. Money's no issue. Devin Haney's even said, hey, I'm still making a whole bunch of money. I just had to sacrifice because he had the better leverage. He had more to bring to the table due to the numbers that he had done earlier in his career with people like Tank Davis and other boxers. That's what Ryan Garcia has going for him. Devin Haney can take that power and turn it into his own after this fight, but he's got to make a huge statement. He's got to go out there and either bludgeon him, beat him up, in terms of beat up Ryan Garcia, or go to war and have an incredibly close fight. That is exciting. He pulls it out, and people got their money's worth. That's what you're going to have to do if you are Devin Haney. And in terms of from a business standpoint, it is something that we had to think about. It is. Because I guarantee you, if he goes out there and just boxes and beats him like he beat Kambosos, both times, people aren't going to talk about it. People are going to say that was a horrible fight. People are going to talk about that fight like they talk about Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather. That fight wasn't worth $9, let alone $99 that was charged for that mega fight. I still hold that Floyd Mayweather would have lost to him instead of Manny Pacquiao if they had fought 5 years earlier when they were supposed to. But that's a whole nother ducking conversation on the side of Floyd for the time being. Either way, the thing about this fight, he's got to make a statement. Ryan Garcia can just win, and his name will be boosted to the rafters. Devin Haney's got to either dominate or turn this fight and make this fight into an outright war that everybody's going to talk about, that everybody can't wait for a rematch to see against. It might be better for it to be close than for it to be on points. Devin Haney just outclasses him. Because then the stigma's not going to leave. People won't want to pay to see that. The only time he'll make this kind of money again, even as champion, will be against somebody like a Tank, not against anybody else. If he wants to bolster his career so that he can make great money outside of other big name stars, he's got to make this performance one of the best of his career. Not just from a boxing standpoint, but from a fight standpoint. He's got to make this so outright incredible. So dominating and or so close. Dominating in the way that it was with Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford when Crawford beat him and whooped him. And the amount of momentum that he got from that absolute destruction job that he did on Errol Spence Jr. Yes, he waited too long to cash in on it and should have been in the ring even more often, but still. At that point in time, he was the biggest name in the sport. At that point in time. Nobody could get Terrence Crawford out their mind. Everybody wanted to see where he was going to fight next. Anticipating. Talk shows, radio, all that. This is a brother who went and wasn't marketed greatly at all. Though being one of the best boxers in the world. Number 2 in my eyes. Behind Noah Inoue. But he went in one night. Changed his entire life for the better. Not just becoming a history maker. Becoming 2-time undisputed, but at the same time, making everybody clamor to see when he's going to fight next and who he's going to fight next. They didn't care. They just wanted to see him in the ring. At some point, it was, we just want to see you in the ring and fight again. And yet he still hasn't gotten in the ring again. But that's another conversation. Point is, he took the moment for himself in terms of Terrence Crawford and made him unforgettable. Devin Haney, you got that same opportunity right here, right now, against a player, against a boxer that you are better than in every way, shape, or form except for power and speed. You should take this opportunity to beat him up and or hope that it's a fight like it was with Loma, where everybody's talking about it, everybody wants to see it again. And it's a competitive fight that nixes the stigma of you being a boring fighter. That's what this is all about. Get people to stop thinking that you're boring. You're an instant cash cow. Especially with the name that is already on the cusp of being widely known. In terms of Devin Haney. Yes, he's known, but he's not Ryan Garcia known. He's just not. It's just not. It's just not the case. He's got a rabid, dedicated following, but beyond that, it's not nearly as big as the casual audience. How do you attract the casual eye? You get them entertained by either beating somebody senseless and or having an absolute classic. That's what you got to do if you're Devin Haney. You need this fight to be one of your most memorable fights to date. You need this fight to be a statement fight. You need this fight to be a fight that they put on a highlight reel of one of your greatest achievements. You just got to be. Because if you don't and you just win, it won't be what you need to be for your career. You won't be able to cash in on beating a big name like you think you can if you just outbox them. We know how you can win. Again, I told you can outbox in the Kingdom Come. And you should actually be able to knock them out if you counter. Like I said in my breakdown, which you can go watch. But you've got to make a big statement in this fight so that you can get out of that stigma of being not only non-marketable, but non-entertaining for the majority of fans. You get out of that, you're golden now. People want to pay to see you win. And I'm hoping that you really take initiative and try to get this brother out of there. Don't just box to win. Box to end the fight. And if you do that and put on an even better performance than you did against Regis Prograis, drop him and potentially knock him out, be one of the best things to happen in your career. From a trajectory wise, to be able to get you and your brand to a different level of stardom and revenue. So that you don't have to relinquish the majority of a purse with you being the champion. Just because somebody else has the bigger name. Now you can be that big name that is also a champion that will never have to give up and relinquish money just to make a fight happen. But it's got to be in this fight. You make an incredible statement and you dominate to the point that nobody will forget what you did in that ring. And that's how you get yourself the money and respect and cachet that you feel that you deserve. But with that being said, this has been another episode of The Welch Report. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the show. Again, leave a like on the video, comment your thoughts and opinions on whatever we talked about. Subscribe to the channel and share the show with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this empire together. Again, we are at 1,000 and we got so much planned now that we are at this new milestone. Thank you so much for all the support, and please stay tuned because we still got so much more to cover for as the days, months, and potentially years go on. Just keep it locked right here. Tell the show to everybody, and be safe, be blessed, peace and love. We are out of here.